Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. We'll talk about another jewel in the in Wheat Ridge. Like I mentioned yesterday, we hit Arvada. Today I hit because my kids decided not to come with me. Wheat Ridge, and it's perfect that I call this a jewel because it's in Crown Hill. Now, many of you know this place. Crown Hill's an interesting place. It is it's about half mortuary graveyard, and then it's half like a wildlife refuge and lake. It's a pretty cool place to go. I go there often, but today I got to go there. Had to drop my car off for an oil change, and so I walked back from 26 in Kipling here to 26 in Newland. I actually took the long way. Okay, it's getting boring, but many of you know this place, man. Some of you don't, but it's a cool place and it's large. And there's some things I'm finding out about when I go on these little adventures. Like, I have no idea what an acre is. I have no idea what a square acre is. I thought the place yesterday, Two Ponds, was like 10, I think was my top guess, and it's like 72 square acres, so I'm way, way off. Um, and So I'm guessing this is close to 200 because I'm thinking this is at least double the size of Two Ponds. I could be completely wrong, but the west half of Crown Hill is like I said, it's a lake, and it does have a little place that they call a wildlife refuge. Now I got to find the difference between a refuge and a preserve, because I believe Two Ponds is a reserve, and this little section of Crown Hill, it's not even a quarter of it, it's probably about an eighth or a tenth of it, on the northwest corner, is a or a refuge. So, and it's very dry, unfortunately, right now. Usually the lake empties into a wetland, and the wetland is completely baked dry. It's a real bummer. The cattails seem to have survived, but there's like they've built birdhouses in the middle of this. I guess it's a wetland, but it looked like where there's no plants. It's probably a foot or two deep, and it's basically swampy, marshy area. And you can see they built birdhouses, I assume, for the red-winged blackbird, which are the birds that usually inhabit cattail areas, at least here in Colorado. Um, but yeah, that's all dried out. Usually you can hear a frog or two croaking. I didn't hear any today when I went through there. It is beautiful. There are tons of trees in this one section. The rest is kind of like Two Ponds, like I described yesterday. I still got to find the name of this plant where I was describing it as like a short bamboo, which isn't accurate at all, but it's a little leafy plant. Very kind of reedy looking, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, I had a nice walk along there. But it did get a little weird because I came from the west, like I said, so I went through the nature preserve lake part, and then the rest is the graveyard, and you can't get through the graveyard from the nature part. You have to go through the entrance on the east side. So I just ended up walking along 32nd. I know this isn't very exciting, but here's the part that's really weird, and so there's still a lot of graveyard left. I think Crown Hill will probably be a graveyard and not even get filled until long after I die. There's a lot of space left, even though there are a ton of headstones there. And along the 32nd Avenue part, as you're heading east, and you look over and you notice that the gravestones are pretty small spaces. They're, instead of 6 feet or 10 feet apart, they're going vertically, they're like 3 or 4 feet apart, and yeah, it's all babies. It was really a bummer. And they have a sign, and it's called Babyland, and I was like, that is really weird and twisted. So I don't know what to do with that information, except just, I guess, gotta accept it. But that was bizarre to go by Babyland and see just dozens, maybe hundreds of baby graves, anywhere. There were some that were younger. I think I'm guessing Babylands for kids that are 18 and under, because there were a couple kids that were like 17, 18 years old buried over on that end too. Maybe it was just a juvenile part of the graveyard for a while, but there is a whole section where it's all babies. It's a real bummer. Another weird thing I saw, since we're on weird stuff, don't want to bum you guys out too much, because I really want to talk about the nature part of it. But there's a new thing, and I've just noticed this the last couple of years, where people will put images of the person who was buried there, an image of their face on the gravestone, and I'm finding it really disconcerting. It's kind of nice because you are kind of celebrating when they were alive for that picture, but it's weird, and it's something. And this isn't a commentary of. It's just something that white people don't do yet. in my observations. I didn't see any black folks either, because I probably aren't a lot of black people buried over in Crown Hill, because it's just there's not a lot of black people in this section of town. Most of the black folks are in Aurora or in East Denver. So not too many. I didn't see any of these for white or black people. I did see a lot of Latinos and some. I believe they were Vietnamese. They were definitely Asian. I think they had the last name Tran though, so I'm pretty sure they were Vietnamese. But it was weird, just seeing. It was kind of cool actually. The few I saw with Latino last names. It was like it was black. It was like black marble or whatever, granite, and then it was almost. I wouldn't say airbrush, but it was a very soft feel to the picture. It was like a black and white picture, almost faded in there. It was so it was done. The ones that I saw, I thought were done relatively classy. Actually, there was one white one, but they were Russian or Eastern European, because everything on the headstone was in Cyrillic alphabet, which is the backwards R's and the upside down L's. The Russian basically, but a lot of the world uses the Cyrillic alphabet in not only Russia but also Eastern Europe. So those were the only white people I saw with those. It was very, very odd. That was Crown Hill. Like I said, it's a beautiful place, though. I hope you get to check it out. Tomorrow I'm going to check out a couple other places in Wheat Ridge, and I'll talk about it now because I got a few minutes. One is Prospect Park. Prospect Park is great. You go out on 44th Avenue, and you get past Kipling about 10 blocks. It's alphabetical, so it's very easy. It goes KLMNOP for Prospect. And there's two, just so you know, a little quirky thing about Wheat Ridge is once you get past Wadsworth, there's two streets for each letter of the alphabet. Like you got Ammons and Allison, Brentwood and something else. I can't remember them all. Carr and Cody, for example. Anyway, so it's I'm giving a lot of boring information today, but out to Prospect Park, there are a couple of small lakes there, and me and my stepbrothers used to fish out there and fish for little tiny bluegill. If you're lucky, you get a bass that looks bigger. Okay, that's more like it. Looks a lot bigger when I do that, but maybe a 6-inch, 8-inch bass. But it's still a pretty place, and the wonderful thing about Wheat Ridge is Clear Creek runs through a good portion of Wheat Ridge, and along Clear Creek, Wheat Ridge was smart enough in their infinite wisdom years and years ago to create parks along there, including Prospect Park, which is great. Field Park is really nice, and you keep following it down all the way to I-70 and Wadsworth. I've mentioned this in the past, is Johnson Park, which is one of my favorites. Plan on going there tomorrow or the next day. It depends. The weather right now, there's a slight rain coming down. It's very slight, and I'm under an umbrella, but it's cooling off a lot today. It feels nice. I love it. But I do look forward to going down to Johnson Park. I've mentioned, like I said in the past, that Johnson Park was where I spent a lot of time as a kid. Then in high school, we used to do egg wars down there. I've talked about egg wars in past episodes, where class of '85, that's us, we won every year because we're horrible people that got a bunch of eggs and just overran everybody else. Actually, it was a lot of fun. Sometimes the cops would come down. We'd have to dive into the river and swim across like fugitives. It was nuts, but that was a lot of fun. So the other thing I remember about Johnson Park is a little more recently, like maybe 7-8 years ago, when I used to live down not too far from Johnson Park, even closer than I do now. I first got divorced. I lived in some ratty apartments called Kipling Village, or Kipling and 46th, and so I was in close proximity to Johnson Park, and I would bring Dante and Logan down there. And like I said, this is years ago, so Logan was probably 8 or 9. Dante was still in high school. He was probably 16 or 17, and we would go down there, and in October, November, this time of year, was a really cool thing that we witnessed. Cool, dark, weird, but interesting and natural. You watch the crawdads are dying. They have done it's almost like a salmon type of reproduction. They reproduce and then they die. They lay and spawn, or however they work. And I know that the female crawdad carries the eggs on her, but somehow that has to be I almost said pollinated. has to be inseminated or whatever. I don't even know the terms anymore. I've lost my mind. But we would go down there and watch the genocide of all these crawdads. Just watch them. They're dying, and you'd see tons of crawdad parts, because at night raccoons and probably maybe skunks and other small vermin are coming out for the easiest feast they've ever had. So there's a little crawdad death for you to end You know, I bookended a little death here. Human death, baby death, crawdad death. Sorry if that bummed you out. But I do want to leave you with, come to Wheat Ridge. Come check out some of the cool stuff we have here. I'll talk about more of it tomorrow. Maybe hit some Lakewood places. But thanks. Got a couple more videos coming up. Let's talk to you soon. Bye.